Hello, Internet! Today marks the 10-year anniversary of this YouTube channel. That makes me feel old. And I am only 22. 10 years is a long time to learn and grow and change. I couldn't even begin to list the things that have changed for me in the last 10 years, but I can say one thing that hasn't changed. I absolutely love making videos. I grew up on Luroy and Chugaconroy and Lucagen and the Game Grumps. Two of those I definitely probably shouldn't have been growing up on, but I did. And I can list probably a dozen other channels that contributed to my love of creating Let's Plays too, but while I definitely owe a ton to the people that came before me who inspired me to make videos in the first place, I also owe a lot to myself. It was years ago now that I first resolved to start putting a lot more effort into my videos, and then 2 years ago now that I resolved to do that again, starting with my Let's Play of Kirby Superstar Ultra. And now, here we are on the 7th Let's Play since rebooting the channel, and I've never felt more confident in my ability to make a cohesive series. Let's talk about what I've made in the past year. Since my last anniversary, Let's Play Pokemon White came to an end. I haven't talked very much about this on this channel, but if I can open up a bit here, the post-game of this Let's Play was hard on me. Like, really hard. From episode 68 onwards, I was in the process of going homeless. About halfway through the series in August of 2022, I moved to Virginia to live with a friend and their roommates, and that ended up being one of the biggest mistakes of my life. This is no fault of my friend, and I constantly worry that they think it is. No, this was entirely my fault. I just forced myself to move out to a different state without thinking about how logistically that was not something I was ready for. Moving out on your own is scary. Scarier still when you're moving thousands of miles from your entire family and most of your friends, and scarier even still when you don't have any financial security. By December, it became clear that it wasn't working out and I had to move back home. I spent about 2 months staying with my mom, and in that time I worked on the remainder of the post-game of Pokemon White version. And it was weird. It felt wrong needing to commentate in a sort of hushed tone that was more fitting of an old Let's Play than one I was making in 2022. It was painful trying to make all of the necessary graphics for boss fights all on my laptop without a second monitor. If I didn't have friends encouraging me or even just sympathizing with the struggle, I'm not sure I'd have finished the series. I remember specifically one night, I was sitting in a voice channel of a server I made for content creation, just working quietly on the graphics for one of the Charon boss fights, not certain that anyone would join, but sort of desperate for literally anything to help make it less tedious. Eventually, Plush, a friend I admittedly haven't talked to anywhere near enough, joined the call, and while the conversation was definitely sort of stunted due to me being in not the best state of mind at the time, that genuinely left a lasting impression on me, and in the end, regardless of how weird I think the post-game ended up, I'm still ultimately happy with how Pokemon White ended. For about 2 months after that, from February to April, I stayed in a youth homeless shelter in a city I hate. The walls were thin, and there wasn't room for me to bring all my recording equipment anyways, aside from my laptop and my microphone. There was no way I was going to be able to record anything. This killed my motivation. My plan for my next LP was Super Mario Sunshine, but I couldn't record it. So I had to put that plan away and wait. Eventually, I signed a lease for an apartment through a nonprofit, and as soon as I moved in, I decided it was about time to play Undertale on the channel again. Undertale is a game I play at least once every year, and while I usually stream those playthroughs on my other channel, I decided that this time I wanted it to be a Let's Play that finally does the game justice, and while I started out sort of dreading the process of creating the LP, wishing I was playing Super Mario Sunshine instead like I originally had planned, this LP just sort of forced me to love it. Undertale is a game that means a lot to me. It has since my first playthrough in 2016, and even before that from Let's Plays I watched as a kid. It's the game that showed me how much I adore voice acting. I specifically remember voicing characters while playing it on the living room TV with my older brother watching, and him saying I should be a voice actor. I had never even considered it until that point. The process of creating this LP was just constantly fun. Even making graphics, which I had grown to hate from Pokemon White, was fun again. The second monitor definitely helped. And I was happy to see that all of you who watched it seemed to enjoy it as well. I think for once, I finally managed to do the game justice, and that's all I could have asked for, even if I never did manage to beat Glide. For April Fool's Day in 2023, I made a Let's Play of Kirby's Dream Land. I'm gonna be completely honest, I planned for, recorded, and edited this Let's Play on March 31st, and I made the entire bonus video on April 1st. There's not a lot for me to say regarding this one. After Undertale wrapped, I moved on to Super Mario Sunshine just 2 weeks later, and if I'm being honest, there wasn't a lot to this one. Super Mario Sunshine is a childhood favorite, but when it came to Let's Playing it, it was just extremely straightforward. There were no fancy graphics for it, no crazy editing. I think it was just all around a solid playthrough. One thing I will say though is that I'm really proud of the pacing for the LP. 36 episodes for a Mario game sounds a lot better to me than, I don't know, like 22? I'm really glad so many of you seem to enjoy Super Mario Sunshine and that I was able to show things that you didn't know about. It's a game that means a lot to me, and if I was able to show it in a good light, that's all I really care about. And that brings us to now. Let's play Pokemon Generation 1. Where do I even start? I have been working on this Let's Play for months, almost single-mindedly. There's never been a Let's Play that I've been so hyper-focused on creating before this. Everything just came together at the right time, but for now, we're only a few episodes in at the time of recording. Let's discuss this one a bit more next year. All that said, oh boy, I've got a lot of people to thank this year. I feel like I do every year, but this year especially. I'm going to start, though, by thanking my mom. And I'm completely serious about that. My mom is sort of my hero. She let me stay with her for a couple months after moving back home, and throughout the past year, she's been nothing but helpful to me with how much I've been struggling. Even if it's just been by letting me come over for dinner when I can't afford food, or trying to help me even despite how stubborn and argumentative I can be, or just taking me to work almost every Wednesday so I don't need to walk the 2 miles there. I don't think I'd still be around today if I didn't have her in my life. Mom, if you're watching this video, thank you for everything you've done. I meant it when I said you're my hero. Even if you do drive me crazy sometimes, I know that feeling is mutual. I owe a lot to Aiden Symphony Antipop. They were my roommate in Virginia, but even before that, they were my best friend and someone who I've always felt safe around. There's someone I can always go to for advice, whether it's with life or with video making or anything of the sort. They were also the first person with whom I genuinely felt real chemistry when it came to comedy, someone who I felt I could really bounce off of well. And while we don't talk much lately, I hope they know how much they mean to me. I can't imagine life without them, and I wouldn't want to if I could. But let the record show that I am objectively better than them at Samurai Kirby. And to keep on the theme of thanking people whose names are homonyms, Caswick Aiden. Aiden has been one of my best friends since 3rd grade. For a while this year, we were even working the same job together, and they're one of the people who I feel the safest talking to about anything, whether it's help with video or audio questions, or just talking about their playthrough of Pokemon Shining Pearl, or sending them the exact same gif of Jerma eating a burger every single day at 2:54 p.m. I can't thank them enough for everything they've done for me, and for not blocking me for the 2:54 p.m. Jerma burger thing. Cosmo puts up with way too much of my shit, and I mean that in the most grateful way possible. Cosmo went from someone who I was sort of only vaguely aware of a couple years ago to someone who I can talk to about just about anything. He's one of the best friends I've ever had, and I hope he knows it. Also, he speedruns Trauma Team, and while I don't know anything about the series, it's always fun to watch for however long my attention span will allow me to stick around for his streams. Amber, too, puts up with way too much of my shit. Especially the torment I put her through every time I encounter a shiny Pokemon. She's been incredibly helpful to me throughout the past year, being one of the most supportive forces of my life, even if we don't talk as much as I'd like to. Astrid gets points for being the token British friend. I feel like a traitor to the United States of America because I actually feel bad making that joke these days. Astrid is genuinely a phenomenal friend and one of the most talented voice actors and funniest streamers I have the privilege of knowing. They also played through the entirety of Pokemon Red for my current Let's Play, which saves me a lot of work, so she has my gratitude for that too. I feel like I've been talking forever, so I'm going to just list off everyone else who I want to thank in this video quickly, but don't let this come across as me being any less grateful for them than anyone else I mentioned in this video. I'm just sick. My throat isn't doing great. Give me a break. Thank you to Katsune Niku, Starlight VT, Jesta Plushgal, Misty, Sylvia, Later Gator to You, Big Gnome, that one guy, Wandering Bard Gaming, and everyone else who supported me throughout the past year and beyond. This video isn't anything too crazy. Don't worry, I'm working on a much bigger video to celebrate 10 years as well. It's just going to take longer to finish, so I decided to make this to get it out of the way first. Thank you for 10 years, and here's to 10 more. Oh, I also made Pokemon What It Means to Us, and that's one of the best videos I've ever made, so, you know, not a Let's Play, but I did make it in the past year.